You ready? This is so great. Love this. So we're in the presence of greatness today. Isaac, Chill Vibes, once upon a time known as Young Chill. As I was just telling you, that's what we knew you as 10 plus years ago, almost 15 years
Right.
ago. The first time I actually interviewed you during Late Night Latte. You were going by Young Chill back then. Obviously, a lot of success since then. But before we get into that, I actually want to get to the root of Young Chill. What were you like in grade school? Were you like that kid that used to sit in the corner and talk to yourself? You used to throw bones on the table during lunchtime, or, you know, freestyle king in the parking lot with the homies? What was a Young Chill?
Yeah, I mean, I was young. Literally, you know what I mean? I started in this entertainment industry as a kid, for real, for real. 13, 14, 15, I was, making beats in my mom's crib and being out in the mix with, some of Houston's, uh, as they say, all-stars. And so a lot of people, especially locally in Houston, have known me since a kid, you know what I mean? I mean, just to put things into perspective, G Dash gave me my first shot, and I think I did a record with Paul Wall when I was like 15, 16. You know what I mean? So I'm talking about like teenager, just really coming up and trying to make my way. I'm talking about when beat CDs was still a thing. You know what I mean? Before you was sending a pack via email, I was burning all my favorite snippets of my favorite tracks on a CD and taking it around and letting different people hear it. And so that's how I kind of started up in the game. Had a lot of people along the way that really helped me flourish. You know, Billy Cook, Kiadi, Big Hawk, some of those guys were like very early, really like wrapping their arms around me and seeing that, I had a talent and had some vision. And so, yeah, I'm a long way from Young Chill. It's funny, I was at an event the other day and a guy was like reciting some lyrics to me from like some older music that I did. And I'm like, bro, I don't even remember those lyrics. I feel like I done lived like 5, 6 different lives since then. So yeah, a long way from Late Night Latte.
We're all a long way from Late Night Latte, but you got to start somewhere. I mean, some of those people that you just mentioned there, we had all of them that came through there, start of a lot of people's career, but I feel like that was a platform that at least kind of started those relationships for a lot of people who are really thriving in life right now, but obviously naturally a creative. So what brought about the transition from you being in beats and music to wanting to be an actual producer and be behind the camera?
For me, it was two transitions. The first was a natural transition. I actually went to college for audio engineering. And so I graduated from Full Sail University. That was like literally what I have my degree in. And then I went, and furthered my education and got a bachelor's degree in entertainment business. So like that's I already knew what I wanted to do early on. My mom was very supportive of that, sacrificed a lot for me to kind of do that. So when I came out of school, I was like straight into the music, producing, writing for, a bunch of big artists. If you walk around, IO Art House, or if you walk around my studio Wire Road, you'll see the plaques from Beyonce. I work with, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, Rick Ross. The list goes on and on and on and on. Been involved in over 12 million records sold. And so blessed to have that music background. And basically, I always wanted to like invest in artists and always wanted to I was always like the guy behind the scenes that wanted to see other people flourish who had talents. And so my natural transition was I started off directing my artists' music videos just because I was trying to save money. And I was like, at the time, I didn't have a big major, thousands and thousands of dollars to put towards a music video. So I said, man, let me pick up this 5D and see what I can put together real quick, especially if it's just like for a viral thing, for a mixtape or something like that. So that started, and then people started seeing those videos. And what I did was I went under moniker. Everybody knew me as Chill. And so I was like, yo, I'm gonna just go by my real name, Isaac Yowman. And then I just shortened it up and called it IO. Just so people, would be not connected to me so they would take it serious. And as time went on, after like the fourth, fifth, sixth video, people started saying like, yo, who is IO, man? Can I get their number? And I was like, that's me, you know what I mean? And then that slowly transitioned to me doing music videos. And then I just had you know, itch for storytelling just because at the end of the day, I'm a writer, you know what I mean? Like most of the records that I'm involved on, either I wrote the music or I wrote the lyrics. And so same way from scripted side, you know, like for me, writing scripted films is almost like writing a song, right? You have this idea in your head, you script it out and you write it out, you break down all these characters, and then you have somebody that's way more talented than you come in and essentially perform those lyrics or that script, you know what I mean? And so for me, it's just always being a love to like getting my ideas out of my head onto paper or into the computer, and then also being able to highlight other creators at the same time. So that's kind of, you know, I guess full circle how it's, you know, how it's kind of now transitioned to me being a full-time filmmaker, and kind of music kind of being like my subsidiary. Music is still very much so part of everything I do. If you know, look at my resume of films, a lot of them are rooted in music, you know what I mean? And so for me, music will always be my first love. Every single piece that I do, I'm very hands-on the sound, the music selection that goes into it, the sound design, just simply because of my background. So
Look, every creative in Houston is a hustler. You got to start somewhere. And I mean, a hustler, obviously, you have that on the resume: producer, director, creator, entrepreneur, obviously, owner of IO Visuals, studio. I remember, golly, when I met you back in, I guess it was 2010, 2011. Studio looked very different than the 16-floor studio that we're sitting in right now that we had to climb all the stairs just to sit down for this interview.
yeah, man, long way from. I think when we first met, my first studio, I think I was at Fountain View across the street from when it was Scott Gardner's. Now it's Prospect Park, but my first studio was 3013, and then I transitioned to like actually owning my first, well, building my first studio, Keys and Ink, and then that transitioned to
Keys and Ink, that's right. I
yeah.
remember Keys and Ink, yeah.
And then ultimately, you know, went to Wild Road, and then now we have IO Art House, which is kind of like specifically for film. And so this is my baby, you know, literally built it from the ground up. I didn't come in and, you know, rent from somebody or have a landlord, like literally from the mud, from ideation to completion. And so it's been a blessing. And just again, just another utilizing this as a vessel for other creatives to come in and create. I was just joking with my assistant the other day, like, I don't know that I've ever even filmed anything in here, like myself, for my own stuff, or like even for IO Visuals. Like, this is strictly a place for other filmmakers, photographers to come and create and curate. So, and it's a blessing to have, you know, a 5-story structure like this in a such thriving, rich art district like Fifth Ward. Got a lot of rich history here because of my family, and so, man, I'm excited to be here. And we expanding. We just you know, like you said, entrepreneur. Like, this is one of the projects, but we working on buying back the whole block and really making this a art hub and expanding more. So.
Your social media handle describes you perfectly, Chill Vibes, right? Because every time I see you, I'll be loud, hollering, screaming and everything, jumping up, touching the ceiling, but you always keep a real calm aesthetic. But people need to know that that shouldn't fool them, right? Because, I mean, you worked on some major projects, Nike, Adidas, Flamin' Hot University, Megan Thee Stallion, I want to say Travis Scott, to basically every major artist that's in Houston. And then your most recent project, by the way, that's just scratching the surface on what I just mentioned. There's more to add to the list, but your most recent project, huge, NFL, Andre Johnson, legend, even though he's from Miami, been in Houston, ain't gonna leave Houston even though he's retired, Jersey been retired, made the Hall of Fame, and you had the privilege of being the person to direct the visuals for that. So how was that experience?
Man, definitely a privilege, 100%. I mean, Andre Johnson is a legend, you know what I mean? I was just honestly honored to be reached out to by the NFL and the Texans to highlight his life and his legacy and try to put together a piece that would really be reflective of, you know, the work that he's done and accomplished in a cool way. So like, I had this whole moment, like, Jumbotron shouty, you know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, that's a big deal to be in NRG stadium, like stadium status. Like, it's definitely giving yesterday's prices, not today's. You know what I'm saying? So, but no, it was a big deal, and now people can watch it on the Houston Texans Instagram channels, social channels, and I think it's also on their YouTube. I mean, man, we went in and pitched to the whole Texans organization probably about 6 months before we even got the project. I sat down at the table, gave a whole pitch, and broke down my whole treatment and where I wanted to go with it. And then after that, it took a few months to kind of get balls rolling. And then, you work through all of the layers within an organization as big as the NFL and the Texans. But I think at the core of it, we wanted to do something to really highlight Dre. Like you said, he definitely from MIA, but he definitely represent HTX.
From that 305.
Yeah. And so I think we had a lot of connection there too, because like I told you, I went to Full Sail University in Florida, so I spent a lot of time in Orlando and Miami. And so, yeah, I mean, I think there was that mutual connection there as well, because it's kind of like I'm from Houston, but I know a little bit about Florida, and he from Florida, but he know a little bit about Houston, and we know enough about one another, and it's so much connectivity there as well. So, it was a crazy dope project to be a part of.
I made it late to the game, but I was able to actually catch the halftime presentation that they had. And I want to say he even used the same word that it is that y'all used in the video you shot. Iconic. Yeah. That's what I want to say. This. They said, how you feel? Yeah. Iconic. Like, that was a huge moment. So for you to be a part of that on the biggest stage, really, in U.S., because obviously anything that's related to American football, everybody gets tuned in for that. And I mean, honestly, he's got to be one of the biggest players, biggest stars in franchise history for the Houston Texans, but also in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, the facts are the facts. He is the first ever player of any nationality, race, creed, or background in franchise history to go into the Hall of Fame. So that's a big deal. So that's extremely historical. So for somebody like me, from the H, who loves the H, and it was super dope because I was able to bring a 100% Houston-based crew to also represent. So, you know what I mean? Not just in front of the camera, but also behind the camera, like really giving other creatives opportunities, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always one of those people where it's like birds of a feather flock together, you know what I mean? And I want as many, you know what I mean, people to flock with me as I can. I don't move in isolated efforts. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I've been blessed, because I move with intention on making sure I uplift as many people, bring as many people along the journey as I can with me. You know what I mean? Because, it may be a moment where I may need to look back and, seek support or vice versa. And for me, like, as the Houston community grows as a whole, especially the creative community, it's important, like, that we rock with each other. You know what I mean? Because, people will try to come here and take over, but if we stand strong and stand on business and make sure that we got all of our people, arm in arm, then I think, we're gonna be in good shape. And I think this was a great also opportunity to show, like, you can do high level productions in Houston with a Houston crew. You know what I mean? You don't gotta bring somebody from LA or bring somebody from New York or Atlanta or whatever to get a high level production. And so I think for me as a director, that's what I'm always trying to exemplify and showcase Houston in a different way. You know what I mean? Because, Houston can be, sometimes people put Houston in a box, you know what I mean? To like, it's only slab, screw, and candy red cars with swangers. Yeah. And so, I think for me, as I take on projects that try to highlight Houston and Houston natives, Houston creatives, and or Houston legends like Andre Johnson, for me, my goal is like, how can I make this look larger than life and make people have a different perception of how Houston looks, feels, and what we have to offer creatively, you know what I mean? So, nah, man, I mean, Andre, man, was a pleasure to work with, super dope. Got a chance to connect with his family. We already had a lot of mutual homies, and so it was just dope to like finally get together. I think he had heard of me a little bit. Of course, I know him, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, now it literally, and just again, going back to, I wrote those words. I wrote that script. So to see somebody like Andre to say, you know, da da da, how does it feel? Iconic. It's like, I feel like I'm writing a song all over again, you know what I mean? But I'm just doing it on film, so yeah.
And quite frankly, we have enough people in Houston and honestly in the industry who are gatekeepers. So we appreciate you for the work that you're doing and utilizing the platform that you have built to actually be able to elevate people. We need more of that. If anything, in 2024 of all years, we need to be united. And I appreciate you for that. That is a very honorable thing for you to do. It takes a special kind of person, especially even too when it comes to film, with you actually seeing someone's story, helping them to tell their story, because some people actually need that assistance. They may not be able to visualize or articulate something, but for you to be able to see that vision and be like, you know what, I ain't say nothing, and you already, yeah, you did everything that it is that I needed. So,
And I'm like just big on representing Texas and making sure I do my due diligence to make sure I highlight Texas creators. Like, I stand on that, and not just in Texas. Like, I just came back from LA, doing a really dope piece that's probably by the time this interview comes out, people will see it with the Jordan brand. I brought 2 people from Houston to come with me. I mean, I want Houston people to experience that because I believe that a lot of the things that Houston lacks is due to the amount of exposure. You know what I mean? And so, like, people need to be exposed to bigger sets, larger brands, etc. You know what I mean? I just literally came back from LA, came to Houston for the Texans, and then went back to LA to work on my new film. Not only did I bring fly 2 people from Houston to be there with me on the crew side, but I also flew an actor from Texas there as well. So, like, and it's LA. I could have easily casted 1 million people in LA, right? So, but I wanted to be sure, like, for me mentally, like, I had somebody in people Texas side behind the camera and Texas in front of the camera. Because for me, it's just, again, all about, like, uplifting our state and showcasing, like, yo, we got talent here and we dope and we doing it on a high level. And then that was a dope experience. Like, all of the crew that I brought out there had never worked on a production in LA. You know what I mean? The talent had never worked on a production in LA. And this wasn't no little bitty crew. Like, my lead actor was an Emmy-nominated actor, you know what I mean? And so I'm super excited about that film. That's another film that I wrote that'll be coming out in 2025 called Sincerely Brad. So, man, I'm super excited. Got a lot of dope stuff in the works. And, man, you know.
well, throw us some nuggets. Other than this film, what else can we look forward to first quarter, second quarter, just all of next year?
I mean, man, Sincerely Brad is something I'm really excited about. I started writing Sincerely Brad in 2022. And so it's a film that explores interracial relationships as well as the aerospace world. And I'll kind of leave it at that until people see more of it. But I can say it's starring Patrick Walker, Cynthia Carmone, and Veronica Dash, star-studded crew. You know, they've been in stuff all the way from, you know what I mean, Cadillac Records to, I mean, these are, just look them up, you know what I mean? Patrick this year was just nominated for an Emmy for a show on Apple TV. So, like, just being able to work with seasoned actors and really showcase my talents. You know, I always moved in and out of LA working. And I told myself, man, I'm not gonna move back to LA. As much work as I do here, I'm not gonna move back. I need to come when the time is right and bring people with me, you know what I mean? And so that's what I've been doing. It's definitely been an effort, you know what I mean, as I continue to grow as a director. But, man, I gotta do it because I know Houston is next. And if I don't bridge the gap, you know what I mean, it's only a few of us here that's doing it at a high level. So I know, you know, that I'm one of them ones. And so I gotta be able to bridge that gap. You know, everybody been Houston, Hollywood this, Houston, Hollywood that. But most of the times when you hear that conversation, it's not attached to anybody from Houston. You know what I mean? So it's like, I really know the people who in the mix from, you know what I mean, doing the behind the scenes to the events to all of that. Like, I want to provide even a young lady that's behind this camera, one day be able to provide her opportunity. I know I really seen it, not just somebody coming and checking a box. Like, oh, we got a Houston person, you know what I mean? And so, like, that's the type of energy I'm on. Like, and I know that it's, you know, it's a, you know, to whom much is given, much is required.
Amen.
But, you know what I mean? Like, hey, listen, at the end of the day, if not me, then who? So that's kind of where I'm at with it now. I kind of had to, like, accept that responsibility. You know what I mean? At first I was fighting it, you know what I mean? Like, man, I'm focused on me, what I got going on. Like, yeah, I help bring some people, but like in the last 3-4 years, I really have like accepted that responsibility. Like, so many of my close friends, colleagues, even people from out of town, like, bro, you the one. You one of the ones from Houston that's gonna help bridge the gap. So now I've owned it now. Like, all right, come on, I'm gonna do what I can while I can.
But Houston isn't next. Houston is now.
For sure.
Houston is now.
For sure.
Right now.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Isaac Yowman here, multi-platinum producer, songwriter, and filmmaker, and it's me versus me. You hear me? Yeah.